This is a new Porsche Panamera with Porsche Active Ride, a state-of-the-art suspension. For people with no clue what's going on in there, it's just a civilized West Coast lowrider, but actually, it's a lot more advanced than that, because it has brought us understanding of what a suspension can do to a whole new level. And in China, we have something similar. Underneath this Yangwang U8 is the Disus-P, an intelligent body control system from BYD. By the way, if you haven't watched my test drive of this car, I strongly recommend doing that before coming back to this one. In our last video, we experienced what this system is capable of. Today, let's see how does this hydraulic suspension system actually work. I'm Harris, you're watching Matt EV. In a three-dimensional space, every object has 6 degrees of freedom. For a car, the throttle and brake control the movement on x-axis. The steering wheel controls the rotation around z-axis and slight movement along y-axis. And the suspension system is what controls the rest of the movement. That is why it is a lot harder tuning a suspension than tweaking the throttle and brake, because there's no definitive answer for a good suspension. But deep down, it's still a math problem. For engineers, each roll excitation is a variable in functions, while the suspension travel, stiffness of elastic components, and damping of shock absorbers are the coefficients, and the body movements are the unknowns. In a passive suspension, the stiffness is coupled together with travel, and damping is connected to velocity of the piston, so it's hard to get the best result. At this point, active suspension comes to save the day. Now with the help of active suspension, engineers can decouple these parameters and change each of them accordingly, achieving the ultimate goal, keeping the body flat at all times. Actually, the multi-chamber air suspension and CDC have already made adjusting the travel, stiffness, and damping at will become possible. But this, for BYD, is not enough. Air suspension is the #1 choice for ultimate comfort on the road, because it has variable travels, tons of adjustment, and more refined roll feedback. However, it's not all-purpose. On racetracks and hardcore off-road trails, it provides inefficient lateral support, too little roll feedback, and low durability. So this 4x4, designed for extreme off-roading, has a Disus-P system that uses hydro-pneumatic springs and coil springs. Similar to the multi-chamber air suspension, the hydraulic spring can also achieve changes in height and stiffness with the support of electromagnetic valves. However, unlike the air suspension, in off-road situations, the hydraulic spring is much more reliable. And with a more powerful valve, the adjustment of hydraulic spring can also be much faster, wider, and stronger. One thing I have to say is that these two are not water and fire. They can actually work together, just like the Porsche Active Ride and Disus-X, which will be in supercar Yangwang U9. In fact, many top-tier gas 4x4s have already been using this setup for a long time. But why this Disus-P was making huge waves in China? The main reason is the intelligent features. I don't know if you guys still remember, 20 years ago, Bose has already invented an active suspension with similar principle and function. And judging from the video, it could even be more powerful than today's BYD or even Porsche. But why didn't this end up in production cars? The reason is simple. The E&E structure couldn't support this system. Back then, EVs were like heathens. Even the 48-volt mild hybrid was not yet launched. But a weak 12-volt system is really not strong enough for this suspension that requires a huge amount of power. The only way to do it is to provide electricity from that tiny generator, which is constantly being powered by the engine. So the result is that this system has negative impacts on the fuel consumption, acceleration, battery lifespan, and electronics in the car. But in the electric era, fixing this is easy. A high-voltage system can drastically improve the performance and efficiency of this suspension setup. We can even say that electrification is what making this system possible. Just look at the new generation Panamera, only the plug-in hybrid models support the optional Porsche Active Ride. Of course, solving the energy problem is not a sufficient condition. Whether it's Merck's Magic Body Control or Bose's electromagnetic suspension, the first step for these to work is to have a powerful data collecting system. Only when the car fully understands the driver's inputs, the vehicle's attitude, and the conditions of the road ahead, can it work perfectly. While the driver's input can be directly obtained by the computer and the vehicle's attitude can be sensed through height and acceleration, attaining accurate road information is not as straightforward. At this point, another advantage of smart EV is becoming apparent: the ADAS. This Yangwang U8 is equipped with a binocular camera and a LiDAR for ADAS. Yet the sensing system can also be used by Disus-P to create a road model in real time. With this ability, the U8 can prepare itself for anything ahead. In addition, data from cloud computing and vehicle status are also processed as information source. And the electronic control module can also help control the electric drive, braking, and steering. This could make the car feel a bit fake to drive, but at least it's a whole new experience. We often say that tuning capability and experience are the most crucial aspects for making a suspension. But in reality, the hardware and software is equally important. A full setup of sensor ensures complete road information. A powerful computing system ensures accurate results, a high voltage ensures a stable power source, and capable suspension components ensure the final execution. Only with such a comprehensive foundation of hardware and software can engineers realize their vision. But this system is for sure not perfect. It cannot have the comfort of an air suspension or the swiftness of the Porsche Active Ride. Yet at the very least, it's a promising start. I myself is quite optimistic about Disus system, especially Disus X that will be launched in the future. It really could be something else.